This is Amanda Powder from the 36th LD Democrats. We're interviewing Libby Watson, who's here from the Yes on 8201 campaign for Washington State. Libby, over to you.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Libby. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm here on behalf of the Approve 8201 campaign. Thank you for having me. So Medicaid, as many of us know, is under attack by our federal government. Devastating cuts are being made to the federal Medicaid budget, which is going to impact hundreds of thousands of Washingtonians and hospitals around the state and beyond. And Medicaid is the largest funder of long-term care in the nation. So these cuts put more pressure on states to protect their residents. And that's why it's more important than ever for us to protect long-term care funding. And 8201 will make our long-term care fund here in Washington more reliable and secure. 8201 has widespread support from Democrats and Republicans, in addition to nurses, healthcare groups, labor unions, and more. Both Governor Bob Ferguson and Senate Republican leader John Braun support this measure. What 8201 does is that it requires 100% of investment income earned by the state's long-term care trust fund to be spent only on long-term care services. As taxpayers, most of us have been paying into the long-term care fund, and benefits will start in July of 2026. 8201 strengthens the long-term care benefits to help seniors and disabled Washingtonians while protecting taxpayers. When it passes, it'll increase investment returns by $67 billion over the next 50 years, money that can be used to increase benefits without costing taxpayers a single penny. Current law limits the investment of the trust fund to only low return choices like government bonds and savings certificates. And 8201 will allow the trust fund to be invested to produce higher returns. And this proven method would be managed by the independent, nonpartisan Washington State Investment Board, which is already successfully managing other public funds and benefits. And under this measure, investment returns legally can't be spent on any other programs. They must be spent on long-term care. The Washington State Investment Board strategies also take into account market ups and downs with an average 7% return per year. And they successfully managed $200 billion in Washington's public pensions and disability funds, so they have a strong track record of fiduciary responsibility. And other states, including California, New York, and Oregon, also professionally manage similar long-term public funds with strong results. And in each case, professional investment has increased returns, reduced taxpayer risk, and preserved benefits. So I really believe in 8201 and the importance of it to support long-term care for all Washingtonians.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And we'll go into some Q&A from our folks here or our members. Anita, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Do you happen to know what is the projected lifetime contribution? What are employees going to be contributing? Do you know the average amount?
I don't know an average amount. That's a good question, but I think it's really hard to say because it would totally depend on what age or, yeah, how close to retirement someone is now, like since the tax started. But I can look into that if there is an average amount posted and email you that answer.
Great, thank you. Do we have any other, Tyler, do you have a question?
Yeah, Libby, I was just wondering if you could walk us through a little bit of understanding how this would work and what protections would be in place in such a volatile uh, current moment with regards to the stock market. I think that the current federal administration is taking really drastic and dire steps around tariffs and other things that are creating a lot of market volatility. And if I'm hearing you correctly, this is a move from having investments in secure but low return government held things to to the market, where we would be vulnerable to that up and down. So we could be making lots of money, but we could also crash out if we encountered a scenario like happened under the Obama administration or has happened across history. So I'm wondering if you have more that to share with us about kind of some of the safeguards, because there would be a lot of opportunity as you've suggested, but I'm also concerned about the risks given this extraordinary time.
It is extraordinary. I think the best comfort that we have is that WSIB, the Washington State Investment Board, is a proven way, along with other like dozens of states that do this, and they have been managing retirement and benefit funds for firefighters, teachers, L&I, and more, that benefits 900,000 retirees, and they've been managing those funds for years and years. And this is extraordinary, this time that we're in, but we've seen the stock market and the economy kind of, crash and come back. So, and in that time, they were still able to successfully manage it, and on average grow returns.
Could I just ask you a
And
follow-up to that after as you're answering, is maybe just also like, what is the rate of return now with the government held piece, right? So, because you gave us an approximation of what it would look like if we went to this investment board of about 7 to 8% return average. And so I'm just curious what the current return average, if you
I don't know the current average, but I know that under conservative projections by an independent actuarial, it's a minimum of an additional 1% return, compared to whatever that number is now. But again, that's a conservative estimate, and that is an average. And it's the minimum. So an additional 1% over the next 50 years, but I don't know what the current is. That's something I can also look into.
And I'm so sorry, I'm gonna ask one more follow-up just because I haven't done my homework here, Libby, so I'm just trying to get my head around it with you. Is if it continues to stay in government bonds or what have you, there's a level of security that we would be giving up, right, to move to the market where we'd have the possibility of an additional 1% return, but we would lose, would we, I'm just thinking out loud here, we would then lose the safety net of it being guaranteed return if it continued to have be government held or a more conservative approach. I clearly need to do more research. I'm just wondering if you could help me think it through.
I think, sorry, one sec. So sorry, fighting a cold. If it were to stay, if 8201 were not to pass, the risk there is that it would be a lower return rate and sorry, and more more conservative, but the risk there is that because of the market that we're in, the times that we're living in, there is a risk that oh sorry, I'm blanking on the word and it's such a basic word. The premiums, there we go. That premiums would increase. So if 8201 does pass, we're able to more safely guarantee that taxpayers won't pay more, that payroll tax is staying the same, and the benefit amount will still be able to increase with inflation. But if 8201 weren't to pass, there's a chance we'll have to increase premiums of this program to be able to cover the costs.
Great, thank you. I had a question about sort of a little bit of either the history or the impetus behind this. And was this not part of the original conception of Washington Cares? Is it and in a sort of a natural evolution, or is it in response, as you mentioned, to like the Medicaid situation and some of those cuts? Like why now, and why this change? Why wasn't it sort of part of the original imagining of Washington Cares?
Yeah, that's a good question. So depending on how much you've been keeping up, long-term care and the Washington Cares program is not a super familiar topic to people. But for those of us, likely you all, who have been paying attention over the last several years, this program was thought of like over a decade ago. And it's very complicated because it's a first in the nation program. So we don't have a lot of other states that we can look to. So, like any complex new public benefit program, of which we don't have a ton, it's not a frequent innovation that we make. But this one is a really great one because the need for long-term care happens to a majority of us, and affects us in some way, even if we aren't the one in need of long-term care ourselves. So legislators and all the advocates working behind it continue to fine tune it and strengthen it. So lawmakers have been responding to public feedback and recommendations made by the government entity that actually is administering it. I'm so sorry. The state's Long-Term Services and Supports Commission. So benefits are now portable. New retirees and part-time workers are covered. And even if you stop working for more than 5 years before fully vesting in the program, you can continue building your benefit when you return to work. The legislature also created a pathway to those that wish to supplement the state's program with private long-term care insurance. So 8201 would be yet another major improvement to this program.
Great, thank you. Do we have another question? Yeah, from Anita.
So employees are paying 0.58% for $100 of earnings. How long will it take them to be vested in this program?
The full vesting period is 10 years.
Can self-employed workers earn benefits,
Yes,
but they have to apply?
yes. Or not, yeah, not apply, but it takes an extra step.
Can federal workers participate?
Yes, if they're paying like Washington taxes, yes. Like
My
if they,
understanding
yes, if they
was
live in
that
Washington.
federal workers working in Washington state could not participate, and military in Washington state could not participate. But if they were working for a military department that was considered a Washington employer, they could.
Sorry, can you say that, the first part of that again?
My understanding was federal workers who work in Washington state could not participate. And military working in Washington state could not participate.
I will double check, but as far as I know, federal workers can participate. And then military families can be exempt.
Okay.
Oh, wait,
Can people who are retired participate?
no.
Thank you.
Yeah, they wouldn't pay into it. And I'm sorry, I just double checked myself. You are right. Federal employees do not contribute. Employees of tribal businesses only contribute if the tribe has chosen to opt in. And full-time, part-time, and temporary workers do contribute unless they have an approved exemption.
Excellent, thank you. We have time just to kind of, if there's another question. If not, I'll give you a chance to, oh, Anita, you had another question? Great.
How will DSHS determine whether someone needs care? There's two components to this. You have to contribute, and then you have to apply to get the care. How do they determine whether someone needs care?
You're right. So yeah, you apply, and for workers who have met the contribution requirements, and need care. And it's that the very basic principle is that you need help with 3 or more activities of daily living. So that's things like bathing, eating, taking your medications, getting from point A to point B. Um, so you apply and then you talk to a representative. They'll like learn more about your situation and what needs you have, and then determine from there.
If I don't end up using this benefit, can my spouse or family member use it?
Right now, no. I think that's a very common question. And like those other improvements, I think there could definitely come a time when come a time when lawmakers make that improvement to the program. But also similar to like car insurance, or if you had private long-term care insurance, that is not how those programs work. Um, but that's a potential improvement that could be made.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. This concludes our time for this interview. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.